Welcome to Childcare Conversations with Kate and Carrie.
So, Carrie, the other day I was actually reading an article written by another childcare consultant that was talking about where to find other money for your budget. And one of the things they were talking about was the registration fees. Now, we have our own ideas on what people ought to do with registration fees. What do you think people should be doing with their registration fees?
I think people should be using the registration fee to wow their new parents, the new clients at their center. So all of that registration fee money should go to, or at least a portion, I don't know, it can be 30% if you want, but a portion of it needs to go to buying stuff for that new family so that they're like, wow, this school is really great. Like, if they're going into the toddler room and you want every toddler to come in with a sippy cup, buy them 3 sippy cups, have them pre-labeled the way they're supposed to be labeled, and they're a specific color in that sippy cup, which is a style that doesn't have the valve that gets all gross and moldy and disgusting. Give them 3 sippy cups that is personalized for their child. Give them 2 t-shirts. Give them, one, maybe 2 for the kids and 1 for the adults. Woo-hoo! Let's just go crazy. And their coupon for their free date night that'll happen in 2 months, where you guys will provide care because you guys do date night every other month, and you go ahead and give them $15 off at the local pizza joint that you got from the pizza joint. You're not paying for that. The pizza joint is giving you the discount code, and give them that packet so that that family is like, oh my God, this is so wonderful. And they can go eat pizza tonight if they want to, because they have a pizza coupon. Like,
I love pizza coupons, Carrie.
to me, this is like it. And again, if it's not in the toddler room, if it's in the pre-K, one of your pre-K classrooms, you're giving something other than the sippy cups. The reason I said toddlers is because we know that people are still being able to enroll into their 2s and young 3s classrooms, and even into their 1s classrooms, where some programs are definitely having a harder time enrolling into the older 3s, 4s, and 5s because of school districts offering free pre-K.
All right, so let's talk real quick. The other place you can put all that registration money is into your marketing budget.
Well, this is the marketing budget.
I know, but how many people have a marketing budget? I mean, I am suspecting that probably 50% of you that are listening don't necessarily have a designated marketing budget or a place to fund it. So here is a way to literally fund that portion of your marketing budget. If you don't have a marketing budget, pull out an index card or a Post-it note and write, do a marketing budget. This is not an advertising budget.
Yeah, to me, this whole, the wow bag is part of your marketing budget. And I guess I just kind of skipped that step. So in my opinion, the entire enrollment fee, let's wind that back, because sometimes the enrollment fee that people are charging is just the 2 weeks notice that they want parents to give them, so that if somebody leaves without giving them the 2-week notice, they've got that reserve of money to pay their staff for that 2 weeks while they're enrolling another family. So if that's what you're doing with your enrollment funds, increase the enrollment fee. If you're using that as your safety net and you're putting it in another savings account so that it functions as a pressure relief for when you have an enrollment decrease, I'm not telling you to get rid of that. What I'm saying is increase your enrollment fee and use that to fund your marketing, and you can still have your little safety valve.
Okay, so maybe people call it something different. So what you described to me, I wouldn't have called an enrollment fee. So maybe it's an annual something. What would be a term that somebody might use for an annual, like,
Well, some
supply
people call it the
fee-ish?
annual enrollment fee. I mean,
Okay.
the problem is there's, we can call these things 50 different things, but in my opinion, based on best practices, every year the parents should be paying a certain amount to sort of re-up for that year, because this is a standard practice in private schools everywhere, and we are private schools. Just
So
because we're not doing K through 12 doesn't mean we're not a private school. And it's paid at, like in the spring for the next school year.
okay, so so I know that when my kids were in private school, we paid a supply fee.
Yep.
We had an application fee, and then we had the annual tuition broken up into actually only 9 months or 12 months. So, that is something to definitely think about when you are messaging your program. So those of you who are competing or feel like you're competing against public schools, charter schools, especially from a pre-K standpoint, remember what it is that you do or don't do differently. So if you are going to position yourself as a private school, go do the research of what other private schools in your community are doing. So my kids were in private schools in both Texas and in Oklahoma. My oldest was in a private school in Ohio. So I have a little bit of experience dealing with my kids pre-K and up in private schools, as well as non-traditional early childhood programs. So
yeah.
why is it so important, Carrie, for people to have a budget? Like, why is this even something we're talking about?
Oh my God, that is, if we just wanted to talk about why people have to have a budget, we're going to have a 4-hour podcast on why people need to have a budget and what they need to be doing with it. So I'm going to say we're working on a book that's about money and marketing, and that'll be in there. So if you have questions about money and marketing, send those over to us, Kate and Carrie at Childcare Conversations. But why we have to have a marketing budget, why we have to have money set aside every month to reach out to potential new customers, and just as importantly, to wow our existing customers, because it is so much easier to keep your existing customers than to go bring another customer into your program. So part of your marketing needs to be to your existing clientele. McDonald's has gotten you as a customer. You have bought chicken nuggets at least once in your life, but they keep advertising to you. You are a McDonald's customer, and they keep advertising to you because they want you to keep giving you money. But it's harder to convince somebody who's never had McDonald's that they need to have McDonald's. So it's the same in your center. It is much harder to get somebody new into your center than to keep the existing clients happy.
Absolutely. All right. So let's talk some basics. So when you hear us talk about things like advertising, marketing, public relations, they're basically all the same thing. So even though you will never hear us go, yes, you have to spend money on advertising, you will always hear us say you have to remember to continue to market, even when you're full, even if you are at a time of the year where transition's pretty popular. You always need to be reminding people that you're there. So, Carrie, what are a couple of your favorite tiny investment strategies when it comes to marketing that you or clients you've worked with have seen a pretty good ROI or return on investment?
Making the outside of your building look nicer. And there's probably 150 million ways to do that. Just watch some, Chip and Joanna Gaines, and they'll give you some ideas of how to spend tens of thousands of dollars on it. I'm going to suggest maybe you start off with not tens of thousands, but you start off with maybe $150. And for $150, you can paint your front door. because the number of programs I walk up to and their front door is all paint chipped and sad. They have
Grungy.
sad looking doors, grungy looking doors. Paint the front door. You're going to do that for less than $150. Or put planters, substantial sized planters out in front of your front door and put some actual growing living things in them. Do not put, oh my God, the people who put plastic plants in there and they're like, well, I did what you said. I put planters out. And I'm like, yes, but those quote ivy plants you put in are now the color of weak tea, like because of all the sun bleaching.
If you're going to do it regularly and think about the season. I mean, we live in Texas, so I could see why you maybe don't know how to grow flowers in a pot in the dead of the summer. Okay, I'll give you that.
Moss roses, they will grow.
Yes. Okay. So make sure that you do some research into container gardening if you're going to go that route. But you know, another one that's under $150, Carrie, paying somebody to power wash. I drove by a building and not only was the parking lot dirty and like it was well lined, but even like the car stops. What are those things called?
They're called curb stops.
Okay, well, those things, they were all dirty, right? Like it looked like maybe the parking lot had even had a good flood and a lot of dirt came through the side of the building because they didn't have gutters. So I was like, they just need a good old fashioned elbow grease power wash kind of situation. So don't forget those basics that you would do in your own house a couple of times a year.
Hey, here's one that I saw. I was in Canada. Or maybe it was when I was in Miami. I don't know. I've traveled a lot recently. But anyway, I took a picture. So they had this great sign and they had shrubbery underneath it. And you could still read the program's name, but how to contact the program was blocked by the shrubs because while they were trimmed such that it covered their website. So it has the name of the same
place that had. Is this the same place that had the date and that they were now enrolling for 2021?
I think it was 2020. Okay. But yes, it was the same place. It was the same place. And so again, having live things around your program so that you are subconsciously telling people, I can keep things that you bring here alive. Like that's an important thing to convey so that we want to have live things growing outside our program. But do not have them growing to a point where they block your sign. One of my schools, there was a tree on the neighbor's property that they never trimmed, and it would occasionally try to overgrow my sign. So I was constantly I kept a hacksaw at the school so that anytime a branch or even a leaf went over my sign, I would go over and cut that down because I did not want my sign to be blocked by the growing thing, right? So, again, we could again probably do an entire podcast just on how to, for under $150, do stuff that will make the outside of your building more appealing. Having people love to have banners, but they have the banners that say now enrolling, and they leave it up for 6 years. And then it's tattered and it's disgusting and nobody ever notices it because it's been there for 6 years. If you're going to do banners, spend $150 each month, get a new banner, have one that you hang out that says, Happy Thanksgiving, brought to you by, and then you have some of the ridiculous artwork that the children did last year for Thanksgiving in that picture. And, now enrolling in the toddler classroom, 2 spots available. I don't care if you have 7 spots. The sign says 2 spots available. And, you spend $150 each month and you end up with 12 different banners that you hang on your fence.
which is a great way
I
to do
want to
that.
leave it
And-
up all the time.
well, we definitely want to make sure that we've got them in good shape, that you take care of them. So when you take them down, clean them, let them dry, roll them up, put them someplace where you know what they say and how to get to them. But before we close today's episode, if you are listening to today's episode and you want more of this, we actually have a brand new class online that is ways to increase your enrollment for under $200. And Carrie and I share these tips, but also another like 28 tips in that course. And so we'd love to have you take a look at it. The link will be the direct link will be in the show notes. You can go to directorsuccessacademy.org or directorsuccess.org and find it, because we are here to support you, the director. So if there's ever anything you need to know as a director, let us know. Let us help you. Kate and Carrie at childcareconversations.com is our email. So we'd love to hear from you. And Carrie, what else do they need to do?
If you think somebody needs to know what we said in this show, share the show with your friends. Also, please go into your podcasting app and write a review, because the more people who write reviews, the more the algorithm on the podcasting app will recommend our show to other people. So please, please, please write a review.
Thank you for listening to Childcare Conversations with Kate and Carrie. Want to learn more? Check out our website at texasdirector.org. And if you've learned anything today, leave us a comment below and share the show.